new season.
You're listening to Arkansas Preps Weekly on Natural State Sports, your top source for the biggest news in high school sports across Arkansas.
Here we go.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining us on episode 54 of Arkansas Preps Weekly here on the Natural State Sports Network. My name's Kyle Sutherland, and we are getting back into our softball conversations as the season is right around the corner. Of course, college has already begun. Had a great weekend, first weekend of the big dogs, as we'll call them, the D1s that got their tournaments and their season underway last week in Division II, actually, and some of the JUCOs, D3s got started the week before that. So with the high school season around the corner, we are continuing some of our partnership with Extra Innings Softball and doing some interviews with some of their commit. Of course, we had the owner and CEO, Bonnie Holland, on a couple weeks ago, as long as a couple of other their great employees. And then we had Carrie Deaver-Boaz and her daughter, Macy Deaver-Boaz. Most recently, of course, Carrie was the first ever Razorback softball coach that actually started the program. And then Macy, her daughter, is a 2026 commit to Courtney Deifel and the Hogs. And so this episode, we're going to talk with Ava Hodo, who is one of Macy's fellow 2026 commits, one of the top players in the country, regardless of classification, just in her junior year. So still got 2 more years of high school ball left before she comes to Arkansas. But going to visit with her, just kind of like the similar format that we have done with all of these, is just go through her recruiting, a little bit of her backstory. She lives in Orange Beach, plays for the Makos, the defending high school national champions, and I think they're actually 4-time state champions. So we'll confirm that with her, 4-time defending champions. So looking forward to that conversation and hearing what she has to say. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody, if you have not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you are notified anytime we release an episode. Also on the audio versions, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, we are there. But without further ado, we will get to the interview with 2026 Arkansas Razorback commit and current Orange Beach Mako, Miss Ava Hodo. All right, now joined by 2026 Arkansas Razorback softball commit and current Orange Beach Mako, Ava Hodo. And Ava, I've got to tell you, just looking at your individual stuff and as well as the stuff that you've done with your travel team and as well as your high school team, you're on top of the softball world right now. Not only one of the best players in the nation, regardless of classification, with 2 years left to play a high school, but just, a national championship with your travel ball team. 4-time state champion with Orange Beach. And then, of course, last year, Orange Beach was crowned the national champion. So going into your junior year, just kind of talk about what this ride has been like for you thus far.
Well, it's everything I could imagine. Definitely it's very rare for high school you win all 4. But every year it's a new expectation. It's a new level. So this year we're just really trying to keep it simple. We have a lot of great girls. I couldn't do it without my teammates. So we're just really trying to keep it simple and keeping ahead of the goals that we have set for the season. And obviously we want another ring. So that's really at the end that's the end goal. So
have you had to build another shelf for your trophies, for your rings? Do y'all have a room dedicated to all of your sports memorabilia?
So I do have a ring thing. I have ran out of spots for it. So I'm going to have to add a couple more spots, but I love it. It sits in my room.
That's awesome.
So.
And something that's very unfamiliar to us in Arkansas, so you can only play varsity 9th through 12th grade. And that was one thing I was talking with you about how we recorded. Before we recorded, I'm like, okay, she's about to be a junior and she's already a 4-time defending state champion. So you played varsity as a 13-year-old, I guess it was. Is that and I know you've obviously got a lot, with how successful Orange Beach has been, you've got a lot of talented teammates, but is that very common for a 7th grader to play varsity? Do you see that very often there?
No, me and Tegan, was also a 7th grader, so we always talk about it, and we're like, I didn't feel like I was a 7th grader then. I feel like it was yesterday. But no, it's really not common much here anymore. But we were a really young school, so we really needed a lot of we needed all we could get to our first year, especially. So
I know you see some really talented teams on the travel scene, and you have probably since you started that, but playing varsity is, it doesn't matter what state you're in, where like what the situation is. Playing varsity as a 13-year-old kid, I mean, obviously you grew up really quick. I would imagine that definitely grew you up fast. But what were some of the biggest challenges? I mean, I know the speed at the play, all that type stuff. But what were some of the biggest challenges for you to overcome once you got up to varsity?
Probably just some of the pitching. The girls were older; they were more mature, so they definitely had. I saw a lot of great pitching my 7th grade year. They had a lot of good change-ups, drop balls, stuff like that. So I really had to adjust. I felt like I had to work hard to make sure I was like kind of taking that next step into my maturity and stuff. But other than that, it was kind of just playing the game that I know how to play, making sure that the game doesn't like go too fast for me. I have to slow down the game myself, especially with catching too, because you're like the leader on the field. So I really had to make sure I didn't get frazzled or anything like that. Just had to stay calm, know my role, stuff like that. Be a role player.
And thanks to the great folks at Extra Inning, and of course you're part of the commit crew, I was able to read up a little bit on, and of course catch the interview that you had with Katie, and get a little bit of little bit of material that I wanted to add on to. And I noticed that when y'all were talking, you had mentioned how, like a lot of girls, especially in your position that play high level softball, you started at a really young age, around T-ball age, 4, 5, 6 years old. Was softball pretty much from the get-go? I know when I was younger, I played pretty much all of them until I kind of narrowed it down as I got older. Was that pretty much from the get-go the one that you knew you wanted to have a future in?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I knew since like 1st grade that I played softball since 1st grade. I played volleyball. I still play volleyball for the high school, so that's really a good break. Gives me a mental break and stuff like that. But softball's been the goal for like my whole life. So.
Well, and that playing volleyball, it reminds me another one of your fellow 2026 commits, Skylar Sterritt from Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
Covered her since her freshman year, and she's also an exceptional volleyball player in her own right. So I always like to ask the multi-sport athletes. I know the competitive side of it, the team aspect of it, and everything, but what are maybe some of whether it's physically or just mentally, what are some of the main things that you kind of crisscross between volleyball and softball?
Definitely like my leadership roles. I have a big leadership role in the softball field, and I feel like I bring that also to the volleyball court. For personally in my high school, like our softball team's super good. I've experienced state championships and stuff like that, and so for volleyball, they always ask me to like talk about my experiences with like getting in those big moments and stuff like that. And then like physically, I feel like you use a lot of the same muscles, some different muscles, but other than that, you're really just like athletes can play different. Like definitely, other athletes can play different sports, and it's kind of just easy for them to pick up on.
When I talked with Carrie and Macy, it took really a little bit, but Carrie and I had to work around basically Macy's schedule, because you know as well as she does, you get up really early, you go do your workouts or whatever, you go to school, then practice. A lot of times you've got practice, whether it's training or whatever the case may be, after practice. So run us through the day in the life of Ava Hodo.
So I'm gonna probably get up around 6:45. I'm gonna shower, get ready for school, eat a good breakfast. Usually go to tutoring in the mornings, and then I'll go to school all day. I have practice, and then I'm gonna hit after practice, go to the gym, and then probably go to bed. But it's super. I feel like it's like stacked things on top of each other every single night. But I try to mix in a couple like good dinners with my friends and stuff like that. Just try to keep it all balanced.
And good dinner, that's a great segue right there, because that's a lot of things that you miss out on. You miss out on a lot of different things with friends, lake trips during the summer, you're playing travel ball. So has that been a tough, of course, I'm sure that you've dealt with, that's another one of the things that you've dealt with from an early age of just having to make those sacrifices. But has that ever been difficult for you?
Definitely at times. I'm a high school girl. I want to go to dances and stuff like that, but I wouldn't change anything that I've experienced. Like, I wouldn't be where I am, and I'm so fortunate enough to get this opportunity to go play college ball. But I mean, I have a great support system when it comes to my friends, so they're super supportive and they're super into it. So they stay updated.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about your recruiting, you as I mentioned, you're an Arkansas Razorback commit, and reading some of your interviews and listening to some, I mean, you say what I've heard from so many current players soon-to-be players and ones that have already played for Coach Deifel. It's just a family-like atmosphere. And Ava, you are probably too young to remember this, but I remember days when the Razorback softball program, I mean, they were literally giving away tickets. It was just Coach Deaver Boaz actually had it in a really good position, but kind of between Coach Deifel, there was some really tough times in there. And as I'm sure you know, Coach Deifel went 1-23, I think it was, in conference play her first year. So talk about just what you have seen really just over the past few years, the way that program has gone from essentially a bottom dweller to an SEC contender. And of course, the SEC got a lot tougher with OU and Texas in it.
Yes. Arkansas has kind of caught my eye the past 3 or 4 years. When they had KB Sides and all them, they were so fun to watch, and they had a lot of energy, and they looked like they loved each other. It looked just fun to watch in general. And then I remember going to camp, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the coaches, how they cared for you, even as a camper. You don't really see that often. And so I just felt like I was already, had a family, and I wasn't even committed there yet. I just loved the way they bonded with everyone. And on my visit, the girls were great. You could just tell, the coaching, it's a huge family. I could go to them with anything, and they would be supportive. So that's kind of when I knew, that was, the place for me.
And you look at Coach Michael, analytics junkie, love hearing things. I know I've never talked to him, but just some of the things that I've heard is very interesting because I love analytics. You've got Danielle Gibson, that, of course, one of my favorite Razorbacks of all time. What a huge piece she was in building that program and getting what it is. And then, of course, you got Coach Gasso, which the Gasso name in general in softball carries its own, but he is making his own reputation, has already done some great things as a hitting coach. And I know you as a hitter are probably excited to work with him.
Yes, I am. I just knew that my hitting would definitely be at the next level if I came to Arkansas, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted to build as a person and build as a player, and I feel like I can do that all there. So I'm super excited. The coaching staff's great. Getting to learn from Coach Gibb and Coach Gasso and everyone on the staff is amazing. So,
and just kind of digging into your recruiting a little bit more, was it pretty much once you went to Arkansas, I know you took some other visits and stuff like that, but was it pretty much okay, this is exactly my place?
Yes. I did go on a couple of visits, and I loved every one of them. They were all great. But when I got to Arkansas, I knew it's a kind of a when you know feeling. And I definitely knew that was the place for me.
And one of the things I love to hear you say, because of course I'm a fan too, I cover this game obviously, but I am a diehard Razorback fan. And I loved hearing you say, you wanted to be in that first group that wins a College World Series. Now, hey, I would love for it to happen maybe a little bit before that. I'd love for it to happen with you guys there. But that's really all that's missing. Coach Deifel has done and I say just her, what she has led, they've done everything but get to a College World Series. That they got really close a couple of years ago. But what is maybe, some things that and of course, I'm not asking you to go into extreme detail, but maybe what are some things that you've talked about with some of the fellow commits in your class, maybe within the coaching staff, of just kind of some of your goals on top of winning the national championship once you get there?
Well, really, I knew going to Arkansas, I wanted a fun college atmosphere, and I wanted to work hard. I would just want to grow as a player. I want to grow my catching game, and I just really want to compete. Every day I want to get out there and I want to compete for a spot and for a place on the field. So I'm really just here. I just want to build as a person and build as a player.
And I also noticed too that in another interview I was listening to, that you had said you initially wanted to be a pitcher. And of course, it's like in football that everybody wants to be a quarterback. In basketball, everybody wants to be the point guard and so forth. And I thought that was funny too, because Macy had said a similar thing. Of course, it makes sense. Her mom has such a strong pitching background. Her thing was that she had a lot of velocity, just not a whole lot of control. And so that's when she went to catching. But I think about, you being a catcher, her being a catcher. Kennedy Miller is already on campus and is a phenomenal catcher. It seems like that and Coach Deifel, of course, was an All-American catcher herself. And I like this fact that we have so many that are going to be, and I know, Kennedy, once you guys get there, I guess she'll be a senior. But I love that comp, because that's one thing I think that maybe the Razorback program, now that they've taken those next steps, maybe depth has been something that they've really needed, and some competition at certain positions. So talk about how, and especially in today's age, it doesn't matter what sport it is. It's like, if I don't start, I need to go somewhere else, or whatever the case. So Talk about that, how competition just really drives you.
I'm just gonna work for my spot every single day, no matter what. You know, at the end of the day, I'm here to play softball. I can't control what any decisions are made, but I'm gonna work hard every single day. I'm gonna prove myself as a catcher and a hitter. So really, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be there and to really earn my spot and work hard.
And talking about your current team, Orange Beach. So, like I said at the open, you've got a great life as far as just the success and all that, but you also get to play like literally on a beach. Because if I'm not mistaken, isn't your school like it's literally on the beach? Or maybe a street over or something like that.
Yes, it's like 5 minutes away.
I don't want to get too far ahead here because we've talked about a little of your high school career. We've talked a little bit about your college career and what that could possibly look like. But do you see softball as part of your future? Like, do you have any interest in maybe coaching? Once you're done, like what does your future look like once you get into the workforce?
I want to coach. I want to go into coaching for sure. So that's my plan. Graduate college, probably get a GA job or something like that. But that's definitely what I want to do.
That was going to be my next question. Do you want to do like a GA and stay in coaching, like the college coaching, or do you want to do high school? And I'm not sure. So in the Circle podcast, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to, Eric Lopez, Victor, they do a great job. Whenever Eric had Coach Deifel on a couple of weeks ago, he had a great stat. I think it's 17 of either coached under her or played under her. There is like 17 or 18 of them out there, and that is second only to someone named Patty Gasso. So that's pretty good company, if you ask me. So, and what as far as what was it that really wanted you to go the coaching route? Was it really just to kind of stay as a part of the game?
Yes, I feel like I will be able to influence, be able to relate to a lot of girls, especially at my age and older when I get there. But I just really wanted to coach. I was really interested in physical therapy, but as it went on, I just really found a love for coaching. And I also, Caitlin Boyd is one of our assistant coaches at Orange Beach, and she really inspires me to definitely go into coaching. She's a great coach, and she's easy to talk to. So I definitely want to be kind of like her when I get into my coaching career.
And something I wanted to ask you too about all the championships that y'all have won. The one, probably the biggest biggest incorrect stigma that I have really come across is that when you win a championship or you win two, especially, it's like everybody just thinks you should continue, like that's going to continue to happen every year and then it doesn't happen. And they're like, oh my gosh, what in the world happened to this team? But is it one of those where kind of because of the success that y'all have had, is it one of those that's really just kind of ingrained in your culture to not be complacent and really just kind of also understand that this could be taken away from us at any moment?
Yes, absolutely. We know as a team, we're going to have to work hard every year. It comes with different challenges, whether it's injuries or, whatever it is. But we always seem to overcome it. And, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal at the end of we want to win the last game of the season. So that's definitely, it's kind of ingrained.
Awesome. Well, I do want to get into, I wanted to make sure that before we did get off here that we talked, I guess I wasn't prepared and I didn't have it pulled up, but I wanted to go over just the commit crew here. And of course I won't scroll through the whole entire thing because out of respect, let me get this right. Let me get this right here, because out of respect for Extra Inning, I don't want to give away any premium content or any deal, but this is your commit crew page for what you do for Extra Inning. And basically, for those that aren't aware, the commit crew is essentially, it's something that basically features, I'm not even signed into my account, so it doesn't matter, but it's essentially just a way to, the word that they like to use is to empower athletes. And of course, they'll get former athletes, current ones. There's a few from Arkansas that are currently involved in it. And so, Ava, I'll go ahead and give you the floor and just kind of talk about how that came into play and how you got involved in that.
Okay. So right after my visit to Arkansas, right after I committed, me and Macy had texted me and a couple other girls about the commitment crew, and I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to get inspire other younger girls and have all that on social media, definitely, so I can build my following and everything. And And so it's been great. It's been awesome. I enjoy sending like different kind of videos and different stuff, interacting, getting really active on my social media, getting all that out there. It's been great, and I'm very fortunate enough to have amazing young women around me also as well. I mean, some of them are such great friends to me. We talk about, I've gotten close with different people I would never have thought I've gotten close with just because of the commit group. And we talk all the time about different stuff, and we just get to bond over, empowering other girls.
Kind of back to what we were talking about earlier about how you got moved up to varsity, at 7th grade is maybe I'm kind of curious, like maybe some of the lessons that you learned, because like we've talked about, not all of them were easy. I mean, anybody that goes through life lessons, it's extremely tough, but being that young and playing varsity is maybe some of the things that you use to give the younger crowd advice. Do you maybe take some of that from what you learned early in your varsity career?
Yes, absolutely. Even at our high school, we have some young girls, that are on varsity, and you can tell sometimes that they get nervous or the pressure, but like really at the end of the game, it's a sport, and we're fortunate enough to play it, but we really can't put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So I'm really fortunate enough to have like a lot of different experiences and lessons from playing so young, but it's awesome. I love it.
Well, going along with that, we'll wrap it up here. I always like to, anytime I talk to a current player, former player, coach, I always like to ask, just if you had a piece of advice for a kid that's going through a slump, having some issues with teammates. That's something that's probably not talked about. There's, sometimes there's a lot of dugout issues that are not discussed that the coach doesn't even know about, but someone that's going through a slump, just a hard time. They might be struggling in their recruiting process. What's the best piece of advice you could give to them?
I mean, that's a great question. You just have to, let me think here.
You're good. You got take your time. You're good.
Okay. Going through a slump and stuff like that happens. I mean, you look at the best players in the country and they get their slumps, and you just really have to take time to yourself, get back to the simple things once you get really into your head and stuff like that, that doesn't help you any further than you just got to calm it down, slow everything down. Don't let the game move too fast. You just you'll get out of your slump eventually. You just have to you really want to chase that one hit or that one good play or something like that, and then you're right back where you start. You're right back where you were good again. So really, you just it's a sport at the end of the day. You can't hold your head, can't hang your head too low about it. You just have to, everything works out the way it's supposed to at the end of the day.
Awesome. Well, Ava, it has been a pleasure. Of course, for those that I guess don't see her name, if you might be listening, we have been talking, if you're not watching on YouTube, we have been talking with 2026 Razorback commit Ava Hodo, also current Orange Beach Mako. And Ava, I just want to thank you for coming on, giving us some of your time. Know you are extremely busy, and we're ready to have you on campus. But
yes,
first, go get you a couple more state championship and national championship rings.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that'll do it for episode 54. Watch us on YouTube or subscribe, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We are there. Till next week, we will catch you next time here on the Natural State Sports Network.